Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to I Am the Universe with Martin Cowart. And I am so excited to be with you this Holy Friday. It's known as Holy Friday in a lot of spiritual traditions around the world. And I'm just really excited today to have a friend of mine just met recently on LinkedIn. That's the beauty of LinkedIn. You meet so many really wonderful people who share your values and things. And when we met, I said, you got to come on my show. Her name is Halle. It's like Sally. She just helped me get the pronouncement right. Halle Eavelyn. And she is a transformational wealth coach. And I'm going to introduce her. But before we do, I want you to tell our audience today, what is some big aha or some new awareness they're going to walk away with after listening to our show today?
That money isn't what you think it is, and that crypto isn't what you think it is either.
Well, I'm just really curious to be able to connect the dots between cryptocurrency and the kingdom of heaven. Let's just call it that stretch, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. Because today I want to dedicate this show. I always dedicate every single show to one of my influencers. And due to the nature of this show today, I wanted to dedicate this show to Dr. Joe Dispenza. Up until not too long ago, it was a little while ago, but I was kind of late into my journey here. Someone came on my show and helped me understand who Dr. Dispenza was. I kind of thought he was a little bit of a quack for a while. I didn't really pay attention to him, but I wasn't ready for him. And when she explained that the quantum field and what he was doing was exactly what Jesus was doing 2,000 years ago, what he called the kingdom of heaven. And when I got that, oh, he's doing energy work. Jesus was doing energy work. Lights just went off. It's like, oh my God, we're doing the same thing. Joe Dispenza is doing exactly the same thing. And so I learned a little bit about the cryptocurrency, about the spectrum, the quantum field of being a light energy. And the light energy is always pulling us toward a positive outcome. I listened to a TED talk about the quantum computer, why it can win. It's not a random exercise. It's actually a way of running programs to always come out with a positive outcome. Because the light's always pulling you toward a positive outcome. So when we apply that to cryptocurrency, I think this is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to let you take it from here, is that the cryptocurrency is kind of created in that same spectrum. And when we put all that together, we somehow can create wealth. and that's the little bit I know.
Well, my work here is done then. That's perfect. You know all that you need to know. I feel like there's crypto has gotten a bad rap. It has not been around for very long, just a little bit over a decade. 2009 was when the white paper on Bitcoin was written, and that was the introduction of cryptocurrency.
Seems like you might have gotten frozen. Something happened here. We got a technical problem.
Can you hear me or see me?
I can now. I see. Okay, yeah. We're back. We're back live.
Great. So I feel like cryptocurrency hasn't even been around for very long, and it's gotten a really bad rap. So that has been difficult because it was, the Bitcoin white paper was released in 2009. It's only 2023. That's not very long. But everybody has been jumping on crypto and vilifying it. And I want to back way up and just say, people don't like change. And
somehow you're losing connection. We're losing connection again. I don't quite know why.
I don't either.
But I believe everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, right.
Everything is divinely orchestrated, even the mess ups. We don't understand them, but somehow they're going to add something to the show.
Can we try one more time?
Yeah, of course we're going to keep trying till we get it done, right?
Till we get it right. Yeah. I feel like crypto has gotten a bad rap, that it's only about 15 years old. It was the Bitcoin white paper was introduced in 2009. but everybody has jumped on crypto to vilify it. And from the highest level, we human beings don't like change. And change is hard for us. And we are having a hard time with crypto because it's an introduction of new money. And to me, it's about the new energy of money. And we're moving into the new energy of money. And until we get to a place where that new energy becomes normal, we're going to have a problem. If you look at, for example, digital currencies, you look at the idea that, your money has been turned from, cold hard cash into ones and zeros. That's terrifying for some people. So it took a long time for Amazon to become Amazon. It took a long time for people to start trusting their ATMs. It took a long time for people to start getting comfortable. Now you walk up, you take your phone and you just click and you're done. You tap your phone and you're done. This now has become your wallet. This now has become your bank. People aren't realizing this, but technically we are in the middle of a huge revolution. But that revolution...
I agree, but I'm going to ask you to do something for me real quick, because this is really important. This is very exciting, but I want you to go back to before you understood all this and tell the audience a little bit of your story about who you are and how you came across this wisdom, because this is important. I want people to know that you're not just somebody who just fell off of a truck the other day and came up with this idea. You've got a pretty credible background.
Yes, but in a way, I am somebody that fell off a truck and got this idea. In my case, I was almost knocked off my bike by what I call the goddess of crypto, because I got this download about where we're going with the future of money and with our financial future as not just a nation, but as a planet. So in a way, there's my credible background or whatever, 30 years an entrepreneur, lived through the internet coming up, was in the software business at that time. I was one of just a few female executives in the industry at that time. I got to see through the internet what's happening now in Web3, blockchain, crypto, all of which are kind of wrapped up. So the new version of Web3 is deeply involved with crypto, but the first version of the Web 1, was the advent of the internet. And I got to live through that. So now I'm looking and I'm like, oh, I recognize that pattern. I recognize that pattern. I recognize how people are slow to change, how there's early adopters. And then there's people who there's still people who miss their BlackBerries on their flip phones. We don't like change. And so what we're seeing is we could be happening a lot faster. It could be happening a lot more easily. It could be happening in a more fun way. They're just a bunch of naysayers saying, we're not going to go, but we're going regardless of whether we want to go or not. We are on the path. Just like with the internet, there was a time when you could get to the end of the internet. Now the information is doubling every 12 hours. There's no such thing anymore. So people are like, oh, let's stop crypto. Well, you cannot stop Bitcoin. It's like Pandora's box and it has been opened. What we can do is get educated. We can get on board. We can start to understand that crypto is like money that's by the people for the people. And I'm not saying there aren't scams. I'm not saying there aren't difficulties. I'm not saying we're not going through the growing pains. We are. All of those things are true. But, the simple basic idea of Bitcoin is revolutionary and is based in love. It is based in the idea that we can help each other, that we can support each other, that there's enough for everybody, that there's enough to go around. And it's making that difference already, even if people are denying it. It's why it's become such a valuable commodity. And I just, you have this beautiful way of talking about love and sharing about love as like a universal, I'll say a universal energetic exchange.
Yes, it's what as a wonderful way of putting it. It's a universal, it's a universal energetic. That's a beautiful. That's a great. I want to keep that. I like.
You can have that. Yes,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a universal energy of exchange. Crypto is also a universal energy of exchange. Heck, money is a universal energy of exchange because we all agree to it. We agree to its value. And the same thing is true of whatever it is that money has been beads, paper. Money is paper right now, paper with pictures on it. I'm going to remind everybody of that. Like, we buy into the truth of this, but it's a story. It's a story that we all keep telling. We could say love is our universal currency, and I could buy the thing I needed to buy from you with 3 smiles and a kiss, right? And we could agree to that, and then it would be fine. We are having a hard time moving into the next paradigm of money, but it is happening and it is unfolding no matter what people, no matter how many times people say no about it.
Let's talk about why that might be the case. And that it goes back to your thing about the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And also the fear of the past, because in the past, in our world and in our culture, money has used so much as a weapon of reward and punishment. That people, if they're good and they do good things, however you define those good things, then they get money. If they're bad and they do bad things, they get no money. But I don't think there's I've never seen any correlation between people doing good things and bad things and having money, not having money. That's all a big story that's not true. But what is true about money, and money is really what you're talking about in the way we create money, is it's a source of creation. And when money moves from being a weapon of reward and punishment into an expression of exchange of love, an expression of love, everything changes. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Is that I just wanted to add that my perception of this conversation into here, because I think this is exactly what I talk about all the time, is that if we want how we create wealth is through self-love. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, it's the way we do it.
Well, so think about this. To me, like, the reason that I have my Goddess of Crypto podcast is I want to educate women around their birthright of wealth. Women don't historically have that birthright of wealth. Women historically, like in America, it was 1974 before a woman could get her own mortgage or her own credit card or her own bank account without having her husband or her dad's name attached to it. That's in my lifetime. That's in your lifetime. That's sad. And we are simply at a point now where there is an equality that's possible, and where the energy, the creative, flowing, and yet disruptive energy of the agreed upon path is very feminine. And that energy is the energy that we are seeing in this future of money, in this new energy of money. So I feel like my job is to help educate, especially women, because we can bring our legacy and our core of nurturing and evolving and helping the world.
I agree. And let me ask you to include a group of people. Include us gay men, include some of us guys, because I know exactly what you're talking about. We know exactly what it means to be, or any LGBTQ person, but I'm talking about, since you're all women, but I'm talking about gay men, is that we clearly understand what it's like to feel unworthy of these. It's really a feeling of unworthiness. When it all comes down to it, it's a self-worth issue. And women were made to feel they were unworthy of money. They were unworthy of wealth. And it was for men, and gay people were thought it was for straight people. So we understand, we connect that we think because of who we are that we are unworthy of this fortune. And what we're both teaching people is that no, that's not true. You actually you have a deeper source and deeper connection from that. So please include. Look at it as the divine feminine that we all gay men on our side can really embrace.
And the truth is, it isn't about women per se. It is about the energy of the sacred divine feminine, which has been squashed so much in Western culture. I think that every man has, we know the yin and the yang, right? You've got not just the part of you that's the male part and the part of you that's the female part. When you look at the yin and the yang, they each have a dot of the opposite color in them. So it's like we are all of these, wow, Nairobi, love it. We are all in this conversation at all times. It's just a matter of what you're allowing in. So if you can look at how can I build up my finances without needing to tear others down? How can I build my wealth consciousness without needing to make others wrong? That really helps, because I feel like, again, it's the feminine energy of the creative and nurturing. The Dalai Lama said the world will be saved by the Western woman, because the Western woman is the group that could have in its hands enough wealth to make a change. But to your point earlier, you were talking about, money being used for punishment and reward. Money also goes to fund a lot of war. We just approved the other day, like another, multi-billion-dollar package for a war in Ukraine. It's not that, I don't support the people of Ukraine. I absolutely do. But I think about the tiny amount of that that's needed to help every school child in America. And I want to weep. I mean, we're just not doing the right things with our money, and we're making it about this continued push for greed. And my favorite meme recently is that if you give a monkey a bunch of bananas and he hoards them all and won't share them with the other monkeys, that you do a science experiment on him to find out what's wrong with the monkey. But if a man does it, we'll put him on the cover of Fortune magazine. That's what we're doing to ourselves right now.
Yeah,
and that's not loving.
I want to go back to something you were talking about. Go back to the war and go back to the group. If we didn't in the world of the zone of genius, there's no such thing as greed, because you have everything. So and this is the thing I'm trying to do on my side, is to wake people up to the fact that you don't need to go to war to fight for power, to fight for something that you already have, really. And when you become aware of that, then we're not going to have a war. We're going to be using this money for what is. We're going to be using the energy of money to create. When we put money, this is an interesting conversation. When we put money into war, when we put the energy of money to destroy people, I don't see that in the long term there's going to be a positive outcome.
Gee, why not? Yes, agreed. Yeah.
So what our task is, and what our movement's about, we've got to get people to realize that we got to put money in things that are going to be good for the world, not bad for the world. Really, it comes down to that. And maybe what we're saying here is that cryptocurrency is an opportunity to have a new way of money coming into exchange that will eliminate the need for greed.
Well, it's interesting, because I was seeing yesterday, I was in a doctor's office and I saw 3 different things on the magazines, but also on the screen of the TV that was in the doctor's office about billionaires. And I was thinking, the first billionaires have only become billionaires fairly recently. There was not a lot of people. It used to be like 30 years ago, it was about becoming a millionaire. Now it's becoming a billionaire. I think we've got the world's first trillionaire now. So it's starting to be, the attitude used to be, well, if I work for 30 years, I'll have my $1 million and then everything will be good. And now it's like, if it takes you longer than 3 years to make $1 million, like, what's wrong with you? And why isn't it happening faster? Because everything is really speeding up. So we have this huge expansion energetically where you can start to make more and more money faster and faster. And like in the last downturn in crypto, we watched a lot of people who were millionaires or billionaires lose that status equally quickly. And, you look back to the time of the Industrial Revolution and the robber barons and the billionaires that were created then, or millionaires or multimillionaires that were created then, that felt like it was very fast. fortunes were made and lost overnight. But there is some sort of speeding up of this process right now. I think that it's a matter of stepping outside of the paradigms that we have set up inside of this capitalist society. Not that I find that there's anything wrong with capitalism. I love the basic ideas of it, but I simply think that unfettered and at the pursuit, almost religious pursuit of money as the be all and end all, we have lost perspective on what's possible. I believe that capitalism can be used to create a world where it's safe for everybody, and a world where everybody has plenty. And we are at that point where there are people in this world who could wave a magic wand and, a bunch of ills would be fixed because their private money is, enough to, to turn around a whole government or to fund every after school program in the world, for example. So I feel like we're at a different place. We just we haven't quite caught up to that energetically. We're still telling the old story.
I love what you said about capitalism, because I agree. I think capitalism got a bad rap because people misuse capitalism. When you put capitalism and greed together as an energy, you're going to get some bad stuff happening.
Same with crypto, by the way. Exactly the same thing that you just said.
When you put greed and you put shadow on it, people want to misuse it for something. It's going to destroy something. That's what happens when you do that. But instead of that, if you put some love into that energy, and you realize that this is an opportunity to make a difference in the world, and use that energy for something that's going to be creative and powerful for the future, we're now talking about a whole different way of living in the world, really.
And a paradigm shift inside of you has to come first. So that's why I feel like it's so important to share with the women and the disenfranchised people who have been told that money doesn't belong to them. Because you're right, it isn't just women. Frankly, it's not women and gay people, it's women and gay people and Black people and brown people and everybody who isn't a straight white male, right? So we have been told for a long time this doesn't belong to us. And what I want you to hear more than anything is it absolutely belongs to you. Nobody can take it away from you. You can't say, well, I didn't have the education for it. I didn't go to school for it. It's too late for me to get in. Because this whole thing with crypto and blockchain and Web3 and decentralized finance is less than 15 years old. Nobody went to school for it. They're just now starting to create the programs for it. You have to learn your stuff on YouTube because there isn't any place else to learn it. And by the way, somebody said earlier, I want you to teach me about crypto investing. I won't. That's not what I'm doing. What I do is I teach you about letting in the energy that can allow you to go and get that education. Now, will I point you in some places to get educated? Absolutely. But I'm not doing that myself. That's not what I specialize in. I simply want people to understand there's a new paradigm and you're getting invited into the conversation, and that there is a financial tsunami coming. I think what we've seen the last couple of weeks with, 3 of these big regional banks failing, and, the largest bank for investment funding failing. All of those things are harbingers of what is to come. And we can look at multiple other countries and see what has happened there, Kenya among them, and see what has happened there with the financial situation. Lebanon, Syria. There have been a lot of countries that had wealth and have lost that wealth. And we can see what is coming worldwide. So we have to get prepared now. We have to get educated now. We have to make different choices with our finance now. That isn't just, well, let me go ahead and hide my money under a mattress.
Got it. I love that. And that's a great thing that I wanted to finish up our segment with today, is how to get prepared. What would you suggest people give us? 3 things, and one of them could be, come read my book, whatever. Because you're a guru in this. So you may be one of those things you might suggest, and I highly recommend it, is how to get in touch with me, and I'll help you figure this out. That's certainly welcome to be included, but and maybe some other things that you might add. But I would certainly say, I want to know more. And so what would you suggest people do to get prepared?
Okay, so here are my three things. The first thing is, yes, I can offer you a free gift today called literally the new energy of money. And that is available at hallemoney.com. So HALLE money.com. You can go there. That will put you on my mailing list as well. And so you can start to get more information as I share it. So that's a good place to go to learn about the new energy of money. Then I also recommend that you get just a little bit of crypto education. Most of the places, like you can buy crypto right now on PayPal. You can buy it on Cash App. You can buy it through a lot of different crypto sites. But even the ones that you're using to transfer money back and forth, that you would transfer regular currency back and forth, fiat currency back and forth, the dollars, you can use those same ones to buy crypto. And they all have some basic education. Crypto.com has basic education. Coinbase.com has basic education. YouTube is a great resource for some basic education. Just don't give anybody your money. You don't need to. You can go ahead and just buy a little bit on your own. And even though this is important to say, you can't maybe buy a whole Bitcoin at close to $30,000 again today. You can buy 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin because that's its smallest increment, called a SAT after the guy that invented Bitcoin. It's a pseudonym, but that's still so Satoshi Nakamoto. So you can buy a SAT, or you can buy a few SATs. You can buy 3/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin, or 5/10,000,000th of a Bitcoin. So it's not expensive to buy, but begin with that. I think everybody should experience a very simple transaction, again, PayPal, Cash App, whatever, of just being able to buy some Bitcoin and saying, yes, I've started this process. So get the education, get a little bit of Bitcoin, and get the new energy of money on hallemoney.com. There are your three things.
Those are three great things. And the one thing I just want to tell you, people can be concerned about, because there is, like in everything, there are going to be people out there who are going to be trying to take your money.
I agree.
So what would you say would be a couple of warning signs that someone's out there and they're on YouTube and they're sounding like the greatest thing in the ever here? But, what would you say to people to how to avoid some of the people who might be trying to take advantage of them with this market?
The basic education is free. The basic education is really easy to get. If for some reason you're having a hard time, you can message me on from hallemoney.com. You can get to my main website and you can message me and say, hey, is this a good thing to sign up for? But the truth is that all of this education, the basics are free. And when somebody says to you, buy my thing, then okay, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm not ready to invest in that education yet. Again, because you need to know the free stuff before you would have any of the paid stuff. What is a really important thing, and this is no different from any social media, when somebody reaches out to you and says, I can help you make this much money, or I can help you double the money, and what you have to do is give them your money, that is a scam 111% of the time. Just like catfishing. I got a message this morning from somebody, your profile is so beautiful and I've sent you a friend request and please accept it. Well, that man wants me to send him $1,000 because he's going to try to get a ticket from blah, blah, blah. It's all a scam. Just say no, right? We don't know these people. We don't want to know these people. So always, and people are always saying to me, like, tell me where to invest my money. No. Get enough education to decide where. I'll tell you Bitcoin because that's a no-brainer. I won't tell you anything else because you need to decide what's right for you. And I don't want to make that decision for you, and nobody should. You are a sovereign entity. Make the decision as a sovereign entity. Get a little bit of education and you'll already see this isn't that hard. I can figure out the basics. Thank you for asking that. It's so important. So important.
That is such a perfect wrap up here. And yes, so the basic message is get an education. It's your money. a little bit of education. And the other good news is get to know Halle, because she's got a lot of information and it's free. And also the biggest thing is get the free stuff first, and then you'll know what to pay for.
And actually, another really great resource is my podcast. Goddess of Crypto has over 50 episodes that's all basic education about this stuff. And that I stand behind it. And amazing speakers who know so much more than I do also stand behind them. So you can definitely get a ton of info for free. goddessofcrypto.me.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all of this. And we're at the half hour, and we're going to close out the show. May love and prosperity prevail. Thank you so much.
Thank you.